Hello and welcome. I'm Ashwin Ahmad and I'm in conversation with KV Subramanian, Chief Economic Advisor of India. Sir, welcome to the show.
My pleasure.
And sir, first of all, I was very interested by what you had pointed out about India being the leading economic superpower from 180. Is that right?
Yep, till 1750.
Can you explain a little bit more about this?
So this is work that's been done by Angus Maddison. That's a book that, if I remember right, was published in the Oxford University Press 2007, where he basically goes and documents the contribution to world GDP by all the leading economic powers from 180 till 2017. And this is the first chart in the economic survey this year. And so that's the one that I've shown, which clearly shows that till about 1750, which is 3/4 of known economic history, right, India was the dominant economic power in the world, accounting for anywhere more than 1/3 of the world's GDP.
Sir, now what was the reason for our resilience? What made us different from other economies and what makes us different even today?
I would say dominance rather than resilience. So one of the key premises in this year's economic survey is that such dominance manifests by design, not by accident. Right. And there was an important vision and a strategy to achieve that vision that really enabled India to achieve such dominance. The vision was to respect wealth and wealth creation, right, which is very important for us to understand given the history of socialism that we've had. And in fact, when one goes and looks at the economic history since independence, it is very clear that the tryst with destiny that was promised at the time of independence never got delivered because of the tryst with socialism. In fact, if you go and look at Indian economic history, we've been a country that has really enabled the invisible hand of markets by furthering economic freedom and combining that with the hand of trust, thereby actually fostering ethical wealth creation. And that's the strategy that really enabled India to achieve such dominance and thereby really enable wealth creation. Even if you look at in terms of, colloquially, many of us have heard this when we were young. Among the four noble pursuits, human pursuits, we're told about dharma, arth, kama, moksha. And arth is basically the Sanskrit word for material wealth, and that was regarded as one of the four noble pursuits. This is something that ancient scriptures and documents, scholarly work like the Tirukkural, which is written in one of the oldest languages known to humankind, Tamil, by saint and philosopher Tiruvalluvar, where he says in chapter 76, verse 753, that wealth is that lamp that at its Lord's command goes to different regions and removes the darkness. And by darkness, actually, the saint and poet actually is referring to poverty. So that's the kind of vision that was mentioned, and the combining economic freedom, which is something that Arthashastra clearly articulates, and we quote from that in the first chapter of the economic survey, with the hand of trust, ethical wealth creation is what enabled India to achieve such dominance.
Sir, now I want to come a little bit to the present, and I'll ask you very quickly. First of all, we made a lot of fuss about the trade deal and the fact that there was a trade deal, wasn't a trade deal before President Trump came to India. Now, I want to ask you, are there little hindrances that are holding it up, and are we likely to see, as the U.S. president has himself said, a big trade deal before the U.S. elections in November?
So this is something that India, and the United States need to think carefully about. That overall trade has benefited both countries. We show this clearly in the in the fifth chapter of the economic survey, that free trade agreements, when you control for other factors that also affect the trade trade surplus or the trade deficit, then it's very clear that when you control for other influences, that free trade agreements have in fact helped India, and so that's something that I would actually note in this context.
The final question, with the final speaker touched upon, nationalism, countries all over the world getting more protectionist, etc. So on a global scale, is this a worry in terms of, world trade, global trade, and how is India affected in all this?
I think it is important to actually understand in a nuanced manner, the trade policies and some of the duties that we're talking about. The word protectionism needs to actually be used in a little bit more careful manner. There is a difference between duties that are imposed on finished goods and duties that are imposed on raw materials and intermediates. When duties are imposed on raw materials and intermediates, that's bad for the domestic economy because it makes it uncompetitive, and that's something that should be avoided and has been avoided on average.
So are we badly affected? Will this have an effect on us?
No, as I said, actually, the duties have been avoided and have not been increased. So, if duties, and that's the point, that if duties on intermediates and raw materials are not increased, which is the case indeed, that actually will help in enabling competitiveness. So, I think in this conversation, we are not making the distinction between duties on finished goods and duties on intermediates and raw materials. That's the point I want to highlight.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for talking to Strat News Global. I'm Ashwin Ahmad. Thank you for watching.